Right, let's focus on Chelsea, where Enzo Fernández and Marc Cucurella have both been discussing the prospect of leaving Stamford Bridge. Fernández has once again hinted at a move while away with Argentina. When asked if he would consider living in Madrid, he said, yes, of course. This month, following Chelsea's 8-2 hammering by Paris Saint-Germain, Fernández said he doesn't know if he would be at the club next season. We understand that Chelsea insist he's not for sale and would only consider an extraordinary offer of more than £100 million for one of their key players. Meanwhile, defender Marc Cucurella has revealed he'd also like to return to Spain at some point in the future, but he's happy at Chelsea. When asked if he'd move to Barcelona if they called, he said, well, it's clear that if something like that happens, it's difficult to turn them down. But I'd have to consider it. At the end of the day, it's not just about me. I'd also have to think about my family, maybe, what's best for them or for all of us. But like I said before, I'm not thinking about that right now. If it happens, it happens. And we'll see what we decide. So, Charlie, you heard there, Enzo Fernández and Marc Cucurella, the situation there. If Chelsea don't make the Champions League, are they bound to lose some of their top players anyway?
Yeah, you're going to say so. I think because they done the Conference League and they won that at the Canter, which they won that at the Canter, didn't they? Let's be honest. They've had the Champions League, they've been in, they've had the taste of it. They don't want to play in anything else other than the Champions League, the top players. The top players, you say them two for argument's sake. Do I like the way that they've come out and all they've done in reality, Enzo Fernández, is just answered the question, would you like to live in Madrid? Yes, he would. Marc Cucurella has kind of gone and expressed it a little bit further, and if that option comes, then we'll address it then. So that surprises me more than anything, that the way that's gone and how that's kind of come about. Because if you are the Chelsea board or the Chelsea manager even, you're thinking, I could lose two of my key players here.
How much would Fernández cost, given that he's already cost them £105 million and he plays every game?
That's what I'm saying. Well, they're not accepting, like you say, anything less than 105 million, are they? They're honestly not.
Surely they want a profit.
No, that's what it
proved.
That's what I mean. And he's a World Cup winner. That adds value to it as well.
He did sign as a World Cup winner, didn't he?
But you're talking near on 120 million? 125 million? They're going to want profit, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, but it's getting the club to pay that money, and do Real Madrid pay that money?
How worried would you be as a Chelsea fan that your top players are even suggesting that they might go? How frustrating would it be? And what does it say about the Chelsea project?
Yeah, as a fan, you'd be frustrated that your top players are wanting to go. But then if you're honest and an honest fan, you would understand why, because your top players want to play Champions League football. And if they are not getting in there, then the project or whatever they're trying to do isn't working.
Well, let's get to a Chelsea fan then, Charlie Patrick. Charlie, do you think it is as simple as qualify for the Champions League and all this goes away?
No, absolutely not. It's not about just qualifying for the Champions League. It's about showing that you're serious about competing in the Champions League, winning the Champions League and competing at the top end of the Premier League. It's not just a case of, oh, let's get top 4, top 5 finish and, oh, everything's fine. You know, this project, which is a complete farce, in my opinion, that's been pitched to these players, is not just, oh, let's get Champions League football. It would have been, look, we're going to be challenging for the Premier League. We're going to be ultimately winning Premier Leagues and we're going to be winning Champions Leagues. And we're a million miles away from that. So finishing 5th this season, if we did, that doesn't mean that everything's fine and these players will decide to stay. It's about more than that. It's about having that, application from the club that actually we are serious and we do want to win. It's about proving to those players we want to win the top prizes. And right now, we're not doing that.
In 2 words, who's your favourite ever Chelsea manager?
Jose Mourinho.
Jose Mourinho. Would Jose Mourinho have accepted 2 of his key players talking about moves to other clubs while they're away on international duty?
No, but that wouldn't have happened because there was a respect for him, and the club was run in a proper way, And right now, the club's not run in a proper way. Players are just voicing what fans are feeling, and as much as you hate hearing players and your best players speaking about your club in that light, this is needed, in my opinion, because the fans have been trying to get through. There's protests been happening. There's another one coming up before the United game with Strasbourg fans coming over. But when you've got key players and big first-team players in the squad actively calling out the project and the ownership, that for me is more powerful than anything. So as much as it hurts, I think you actually really need that in order to try and drive some change to what's going on.
Well, Shaz there, she's texted in saying, only ones I'd keep are Palmer, Caicedo and James. The rest can go.
Yeah, look, I think that there's genuinely a conversation to be had that when you look through the 40, 50-odd signings that have been made under this ownership, you can make a very strong case for maybe you would carry on with 5, 6, at a push, maybe 7 of those players going forward. And that just kind of highlights the major issues that we've got right now.
Charlie, on this model, and obviously for the model that they're trying to do and what do you think they're trying to achieve here? Like, what do you like with this model? I know years ago say win nothing with kids, like with it was said about Man United. But what is Chelsea's model? Really, what are you thinking they want to achieve? As much as saying, win the Premier League or win the Champions League or whatever like that, what do you really think it is?
It's just pure fantasy what they're trying to do. You know, the idea that people that have come in that had no idea about football whatsoever, no experience working in football, think they could completely rewrite time in terms of what's been successful in football. No team or club has ever had major success doing what we're trying to do right now. And the arrogance or the naivety or the stupidity, whatever you want to call it, of these guys to come in who've got no experience in the game, I think they can just completely rewrite history and time in football is ridiculous, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to achieve. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, they've got this fanciful idea that you can sign a load of young players, they're all going to develop together, and then they're all going to be some sort of super team at 26, 27, 28. And we all know that football just simply doesn't work like that. And you've got to show signs of progress to actually get these guys to stay and commit the prime years of their career.
We've got some more quotes from Marc Cucurella that have come from The Athletic, which you might have read before, where he says, we have a good core of players, the foundation are there, but to fight for major trophies such as the Premier League or the Champions League, you need more. Signing young players only might complicate achieving those goals. Against PSG, we lacked players that have gone through situations like that. Now, that's a current player saying it. You're a fan who's been saying it all season. Other fans have said it all season. So why can't the people in charge of the football see it?
That is the £1,000,000 question, Tom. I've genuinely got no idea. You know, fans have been saying it for years. You know, the media, pundits have been saying it for a long, long time as well. It's obvious to every single person that follows Chelsea or looks at Chelsea outwardly that what's required. And yet there's this sort of attitude and mentality of no accountability at the top. And rather than, you know, accepting we got things wrong, we tried something, these lot would rather be wrong and strong than kind of accept any responsibility that they've got things wrong. So, yeah, it's a major, major issue. But at the end of the day, this is what's required, is that you need players who are on the inside, important players who are there day in, day out, seeing what's going on. And if they're saying it, then you know that more members of the squad feel that way. And that's really the most powerful way that you can try and direct some sort of change at the top.
How difficult is this for Liam Rossini? Because I do get the impression that the successful managers, not just at Chelsea, but in the Premier League, I don't think the key players would be saying this, whether on international duty or not. It's very, very rare. I remember Cristiano Ronaldo, under Sir Alex Ferguson, said it was his dream to play for Real Madrid. Well, eventually he did, but Ferguson made him wait. Yeah,
100%. Look, I think he's in a very difficult situation. It's clear for me that, you know, look, as much as he comes across well, he's obviously a nice guy. Ultimately, that respect from the dressing room, I'm not saying everyone, but that respect from the dressing room is not there for the manager. They don't believe in this guy. They don't believe in his tactics. You can tell they don't believe in his ideas from the performances we've recently seen on the pitch. And you're right, you know, in a dressing room that is tightly knit, a group that's together, a group that believes in the manager and believes in the direction you're going in, that's not said. You might feel those things privately, but that's never expressed publicly. So he's got a massive issue on his hands. And you know, I do feel a little bit sorry for him in that aspect, because it's not obviously his fault per se that the players are feeling that way. It's a culmination of the way that the club's been run and a lack of progress that's been made. But yeah, they obviously don't respect him. And once, you know, Charlie will know this, once kind of the players don't respect a manager, that's virtually impossible to try and win that back.
No, still lots to play for this season, of course, for Chelsea. Charlie, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.